right, and we're back for yet another episode. We've got Elizajane Muffi Loader back here in the studio via correspondence, of course. She's always somewhere that isn't Brisbane. Of course, Erin is back. Now, before we get too deep into your injury, of course, Muffy, is there any, because obviously you guys were Rockhampton team, Northside Wizards team from last NBL1 North season. Is there any on the court smack talk we need to, talk out or anything here we can, or is all things... it happens. I get it.
No, pretty sure every game there'd be something between us. It was pretty funny.
Loved it. It was one of my favorites when we were about to play, because the first game ever, she hit a 3 in my face like 2 or 3 years ago, and she did a guitar strum. Oh, man.
Yeah,
It killed me. It made me laugh on the inside. It was so funny. That's what I remember when I first met her. Yeah.
Nice. Way cooler than any of this silliness. Like, that's awesome. All right. Yeah. Night. Okay, Muffy. All right. Let's jump in. Let's go back to, if you can remind us, where your basketball journey started.
Well, it started where on the Central Coast for Rebels as a junior. So that's like the country. And then probably bottom age 18s, I moved to Metro. Ended up going to school down there. Started training with as a train on for the Sydney Flames. Went to college. Played in state teams. Came back. Was a DP for Canberra Caps. And yeah, then just kind of been playing ABA. And then now NBL1 kind of ever since.
Humble flexes there. Some really humble flexes.
Like, oh, shoot, I didn't know this.
Yeah. Was this
that makes me feel better.
And you didn't have any, soccer or volleyball connections like Erin did back in the day, the smaller round ball?
No.
Good girl. Well done. Well done. Nice. All right. Now, we've talked about before your time with the Capitals and, of course, with the Rebels, but the NBL1 North Grand Final series that we went through, not the one just gone through, the one the year before, the one that Erin wasn't a part of because she was obviously at Darwin's.
Let's talk about that one.
Yeah, let's talk about that one. Not sure Muffy's that keen, but now obviously you guys got swept in that one. Walking away from that, was there unfinished business? Was it revenge, disappointment? What was the overall feeling in the team?
I think dissatisfaction, probably. I think we knew that was probably one we let get away. Although we weren't going in as minor premiers, I thought we were in a really good state of flow as a team, and we kind of let ourselves down. I think that we kind of went away from what we'd been doing all season. But to Northside's credit, they were fantastic. They dug deep and just stayed true to themselves. So I think, this season, we all kind of just made the pact that we were just going to lock in and we were just going to make sure, whether it be we make it to the finals, or if we find ourselves in that same position, if we're going to lose playing our way.
Well, you speak about, the season ahead, and you guys obviously had a monster season. You only lost to 3 teams, the Salties, Flames, and the Wizards. Erin was definitely a part of that, in Rocky, which is not easy. But
it was a Sunday, so I think that helped. 11.
Ooh, it calmed the crowd down a little bit. Yeah. But you guys went on really well, had a great season. Every time you scored 80 points in that season, you guys won. Every time, 13 from the regular season. But can you talk to me about what was the mindset and what was the team like? Were they all locked in all the time? Was it did everyone go their separate ways when they had their own, or was it just a shared vision and was it there's the end line, that's the team we want, let's get after it week after week?
I think for us, like, we obviously gained Morgan, who was a key asset for us. But we always sort of had the mindset is you're only as good as your weakest player. So we just did whatever we could to build each other up. And yeah, like, we got to practice, and if you weren't 15 minutes early, you were late. Everyone did the extras. It didn't matter what your role was, but it was valued. So I think when that's your mindset, it's easy just to have like a work hard culture, which I thought we did a good job of.
Awesome. Well, yeah, some teams, I know a lot of teams talk about it, but to actually do it is obviously credit to everyone involved, including, of course, Coach Drew.
Yeah, so, fantastic.
So big day of game one comes along. What do you remember to the lead up of game one? Just huge excitement, all ready to go? Is this, just going through the motions? What was that day like?
I think for a lot of us, for me personally, like, I wasn't stressed. Like, I was kind of like, I actually feel really prepared. Like, we had a really good walkthrough. We had a good shoot around. Everyone, like, the vibe was really good. It was probably when you guys when all the lights went out and all like the smoke and flames went off, that I was like, oh yeah, okay, now I'm starting to feel a bit nervous.
Well, it's intense. It was intense for us. It's a lot of smoke.
I don't know what my warm-up song, like, I don't know what my walkout song would be. Like, would I jump? I don't know. I always imagined it.
No, it was intense. Think of it.
Yeah, Wizards do put on a good show.
Oh,
in that regard, always like the associations that drop the lights and really steer into it. And,
yeah,
it is definitely cool, and it, even on seasoned vets like yourself, because that's what it can do to the opposition. It can, if it can take you out of that mindset just for a moment, then it's done its job, and it's worth however much they're willing to spend.
Yeah,
but all the introductions are done, pre-game huddle. What's the vibe? What's the feeling? Have those nerves gone away now, or have they returned again?
Well, for us as a team, our captain, Lara McSpadden, I don't know when she did it, but it was some game, but we all would just take a really deep breath, and then we would just be like, we've got this. So we'd just be in the huddle, Lara would give us her spiel, and we'd all take a deep breath, and yeah, it just was really calming. So I don't know, that just really centered us.
Nice. Shout out friend of the show, McSpads.
Yeah, we love
getting in the huddle and calming everyone down. Champion, of course. Couldn't help but win. Like, heads over to NZ, brings home the chip with Morgan as well. Yeah. Wins everywhere she goes. But now, 6 minutes in, got a couple of heat checks, had one splash, and a rather long rebound as well. Well done. Your team's down by a little, but you're coming back after an early deficit. How are you feeling at that point?
Like, I'm feeling okay. Like, I think, like, sometimes the offensive flow, and like, Wizards do a really good job of disrupting our our offensive flow. I think they match up really well against us. So for us, it's kind of just finding who that key player is that's kind of able to exploit their matchup. And in that first game, it was Low. She was on fire. And so, yeah, we were just trying to get her the ball and do what we could through her and through Lara.
All right. Now, between the 6 minute mark and the 7:02 minute mark, was officially when you were subbed out. What happened? Where did the injury occur? Because I know initially when on the rewatch, and I know the commentators who were live on that game weren't quite sure what had happened until all of a sudden you started, reaching for that shoulder.
Oh, well, I had Probably, oh, I don't know. Like, I think when I dived fighting for the ball against the lovely Erin. And
there we go.
Yeah, to her credit, always it's always a good competition and like match up against us. So obviously no malice or whatever that I know of. You can tell me later.
Yeah. Off the record, we'll talk about it.
But no, I just dived on the ball and just felt my shoulder go, and it's just like a bit of a sting. But like we kind of spoke about, was running and just like shrugged really hard down and kind of felt like a pop, I guess. And so I was like, oh, whatever. Because the very next play, I put my arms up above my head and I was fine. And then, yeah, went to run the other way, and I don't know, it just felt it go again. And yeah, I went to contest Erin's shot and I couldn't get my arm above my shoulder height, so quickly called a sub, and our physio was like, yeah, no, this is, your shoulder's popped out. And I didn't want to leave the game. I wanted to stay and just go after to the hospital, but they said the longer you leave it out, the harder it is to get back in or something like that. So yeah, one of the parents from our team drove me to the hospital, and yeah, the doctor put it back in and got an MRI a week later, and they found that compound fracture just in there. And yeah, that was kind of it really. Like, it just sort of healed on its own. And yeah, just been getting treatment and physio since.
Now, watching those next two games, was that super difficult?
It was. Like, I won't lie, like I cried after our grand final. Because although like I was so happy for our team, like I couldn't have been more happy, but you know, when it just, you kind of just like, you felt like they did it without you, and not in like a narcissistic way or anything, but I don't know, I just don't know how to explain it. Like, I was just so happy for them, but so disappointed for myself. And yeah, so I kind of struggled a bit celebrating because I was just so upset, but didn't want to take away their happiness and enjoyment. So yeah, like that was tough, I think. But during the game, like just seeing my teammates out there just doing what they do and rising to every challenge that Northside gave us, I couldn't have been more proud of them.
I mean, that's so real, by the way.
Yeah.
That's amazing to share that, because a lot of people will hold that in and not talk about that feeling of, you are so happy for everybody else, but no one plays basketball to not play or to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So I completely understand that feeling of just like, I just want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And yeah, so thanks for sharing that. That's good.
No. Yeah. It's, and you would know better probably than anyone, like, especially you sat out too with your hand and stuff like that. Like, on the flip side, you'd be like, I'd do anything to be out there just to get my team over the line. So it's no easier in a loss, because, and not to speak for you, but I don't know, maybe you feel a bit of guilt not playing and stuff like that. Like, I know I probably would have if I was in your position.
Dude, it was watching, and I think we were down 2 or 4 at the point.
Yeah.
And when you're injured, and you can attest to this, when you're injured, you feel like out of it. Like when you initially get it. So you don't really understand what's going on, what's happening. And then when I finally kind of came to, it was, we're losing by 20. And that's I sinking in and watching. And I was going to ask these questions later, but the fact that you're sharing, and I think we both want you to share what the real stuff is, because I've had so many people since the injury reach out and be like, it sucks. Injury sucks. And it takes away something that's so important to you. And you built this whole year. And that's so, like what you talked about with how you came together as a team. You had, everybody went to trainings. You've done this 6 months, half a year. And then you get to the very end and you can't do the thing you've been practicing.
Yeah.
So, like, if you can expand on that more, what do you think it depleted you the most? Like, besides just that, what do you think is so depleting about that?
I think because like the goal, like the team goal obviously is to win, and you do it as the team. And it's just the little things like not being in my uniform and in all the photos, like just looking like, not like the odd one out, but you just don't feel like a part of it. Or when you're sprinting from the bench, like, and you're like, yeah, like everyone's jumping around and you can't do it because you're injured. Or I don't know, just like little stuff like that, and not being in the game. And I feel like that's hard because when you're a bench player, like not our whole team played that game.
Yeah.
But I don't think they would probably say that they feel that same sort of depletion that you and I probably felt.
Because potentially they could get time or have a moment on the court that they could have made a difference. And we're just told, no, you're not, there's nothing you can't do. You're sitting right there.
I think the biggest takeaway though, that where injury is a blessing, is sometimes you take the game for granted. Like you feel like you deserve to play, not that it's a privilege to play. And I think every time I come back from injury, I just need to remind myself, like, it is a privilege that I get to start. Doesn't matter what game it is. Doesn't matter what training session it is. Like, basketball isn't a right. Like, you earn it. It's deserved. And I think that's where injuries can just be so valuable, and, like, talking about it. And I think that's where, now that I'm thinking aloud, that's probably why I felt so depleted, is because, I don't actually have the right to play. They do, but I don't. And that's where I think I probably struggled a bit.
Yeah. I'll ask you more questions about mindset later, but good stuff.
After that first loss, just going back in time, so I assume you're in hospital getting treatment. When you find out that, losses happened, were you watching on a device or was it just treatment and then someone's just told you?
We were watching it like the whole time on the live stream. And it was tough because you also kind of feel like, I don't know, you hope that it wasn't like, you rushing off to hospital that distracted the team, or like, something like that. But you just sit there holding this device and you're just like willing through this device, being like, go, go, go. Like you're just yelling and just manifesting them to win. But yeah, it was hard. Like it was somber going back to the apartments. But yeah, it's tough.
Was there a sense of, crap, here we go again? Because the grand final series, while you're a different team, you've got extra pieces, all that kind of stuff. You lost the first game the previous season, grand final series, sorry. This time around, obviously you're not there for the majority of the game, but the team takes that L. Is there that worry of, here we go again, we're just stuck, or what was the team vibe like?
I actually feel like we were like, we're not doing this again. Like, we're not. There's just no way. Like, if they're going to beat us, it's going to be a 3. Like, it's going to be a 3-game series. We're not going down like that. And that's probably a credit to Morgan Yeager, because she didn't have that same drive. Like, she didn't have that same experience last year as what we did, but she just knew how much it meant to us. So, like, she came ready to play. Same with Sydney Wright. She came ready to play. For those people that even just played like 3-4 minutes, they were ready to play. And I just don't think we had that last year. Like, we just weren't ready for that second game.
Yeah, I know. I was in the press conference there and saw Drew looking at the the stat sheet and different things, and you could just see, as he was analysing things, and the cogs were already turning for the following day. So it was at that point I nudged Jacinta and was like, I think we're going to have quite a game 2 here. And
he's talking about Sunday.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I was about to take. I'm unbiased.
In theory, that's great.
Yeah. I was like, good coaching.
Yeah.
So I guess my thing would be with the months after, or how long were you out with your injury for?
I was off court for about 2 months.
Yeah.
And then I just started doing contact again in like late December.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's always a slow grind to get back. I don't think anybody understands that too. It's like, yeah, you're 2 months off, but you're not getting to play again for another 4 months if that happens. What was your mindset after finals? You get done now. I understand we have breaks or we have time off. Where was your head at the beginning of that?
I mean, like, because I was still at that point in time playing for Rocky, like I was just thinking about building for the next season. Not in a rush because we obviously have the latest start this year. So just really taking my time with it to make sure my body was right, my mind was right. But it's just not linear like that though. You kind of just realize how I just didn't appreciate, I think, my body enough. Like, like just being able to put on a t-shirt without it hurting, being able to sleep without waking up in pain, like just like little stuff like that, that I'm just like, why did I not take better care of my body? Like, why did I not fuel myself correctly? Why did I not stretch that one time after practice or do the ice bath or whatever? So I'm definitely a bit more in tune with recovery now, like in that sense.
So in those times, because I think every injured player has those remuneration kind of remembering, regretting, if I should have, like in those times, what keeps you from falling into deeper pits? And if you did fall into a deeper pit of a mindset, what were ways you could get out of it? Because I think that's the biggest thing I see is no one knows how disgusting it feels sometimes, the darkness, and no one knows how to get out. Yeah.
I think the thing is accepting that it's not going to be a linear trajectory with recovery, with anything. Like I'm a big believer in like fate and faith and like everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
And like I just believe that I wouldn't be given this challenge if I wasn't able to overcome it. Yeah. But also in that same light, that people have been forced to stop playing not on their terms. And that's probably one thing I've just always, that's driven me is like, if I do stop playing basketball, I want it to be my choice.
Yeah.
But my body gave up, but just because like I'd done everything I'd wanted to do, or, you just sort of know.
Yeah.
That's probably my driver.
Yeah. And I guess with the shorter injuries, it's kind of easier to, okay, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel a little bit longer. And I remember with my 8-month injury, that was probably the darkest and deepest I went. Do you struggle with identity being in basketball sometimes? Do you find that when basketball is taken away from you, you struggle with your self-worth? Do you have any moments like that you struggle with?
Yeah. And I think anyone, like, even just through COVID, when we all had to stop playing, like, I think I really annexed basketball to my identity. That it was almost just my identity. So when that was taken away, I didn't know who I was without it. Yeah. And kind of like what you were doing with your Instagram, where you did like, what was it? It was like 100 days of just random things or whatever. I loved that because it made me think back to when I like did stop playing, I really like went quite introspective, and I found out I love photography. Love it. Got a film camera, it's really cool. Love going out taking snapshots of stuff. Love drawing. Love writing poetry. Just a bunch of stuff that I didn't know I was into. Yeah, like I struggled with my self-worth, but I don't know, I think like I'm just competitive and I like challenging myself. So I was like, look, obviously there is a void, but I can feel it.
Yeah.
Like world, like it might seem like it in this point in time, but I'm also very lucky. I've got friends and family that center me very well. And I can have these raw, honest conversations, which I know a lot of people don't. And that's why I think this podcast is so cool because like I hope people can relate and just feel like, oh, okay, I feel seen.
Yeah. And I would say your energy since I've met you or watched you play or even on your Instagram and stuff, your energy is I like who I am, and even if it's different than everybody else, and I'm not saying you're really weird or anything, it's more you are unapologetically yourself.
Yeah.
And I think when I don't know if
she has Vegemite without any butter. We can there's potentially some weirdness things in there, but
I don't. The fact that you even eat Vegemite is weird for me, but that's just.
I was like,
there's going to be some people. Let's steer into the weird. Let's you know, there's going to be some people here in Australia who definitely feel that.
Like that gives off an energy of you do have a level of self-worth outside of basketball. Like you are secure within yourself. And I see a lot of times, or even with myself, when I was pretty insecure or low self-worth, that's the hardest times to get over things or to like see the whole picture or logically think about the situation that I'm in or people are in. If you had to pick 3 things, if you like, let's say somebody tunes into the podcast, 3 things that helped you during injury, what were those? What could be those 3 things that you could pass on to somebody else to help them get through it?
I think for any athlete, we're very goal orientated. We're very goal driven. So I still think setting goals is important. It doesn't have to be sports specific, but I think just sort of, even if it's just, you know what, I'm going to get up and go for a walk today, if you can, or I'm going to research something, listen to a podcast, just set little goals, and then that way you're still achieving something. I personally love journaling, that sort of thing. Yeah. Yeah. So that's a really cool one. And just being real with it, like it's okay, like to say everything sucks. But I think it's important to be like, okay, everything sucks in this moment, but this moment's gonna pass and it's gonna be okay. And then the third thing, I would say, if you're not having a good day, then just be okay and be okay with not being okay. Like you don't have to say you're okay or joke through pain all the time. Like just say, I'm just having a day.
Yeah.
And that in itself, I think, is achievement.
Absolutely. Thank you. Very good.
No.
Very good answer.
Yeah.
100%, especially that last one. That can be tough to find people to feel that way, but if you can, there's some real ones, and definitely keep them in your life. And if you can't, there's lots of places where you can reach out to. 2 questions that we definitely, you mentioned obviously not with Rocky anymore, heading home to the NBL1 East and Crusaders, I believe.
Yep. Home turf.
Nice. And hey, you never know, you might be on that other podcast that's out there, one of the many. East got game before you know it.
Not as good.
What she said. But the East allegedly has game, of course, by Jacinta and Lockie. I'm sure you'll get a call up, surely. Last question. Not the podcast, but the actual injury itself. Was that the hardest thing you've ever done?
I want to say in a basketball context, yeah, because I think in that moment, winning the championship and then just having that emotional roller coaster, that was really tough for me. And it's probably the first injury I've had away from my family. So just not being able to rely on them or have them there to help me out with just like small things like getting changed or driving, showering, that sort of stuff. That was tough. But in the same token, like I had amazing teammates. Like Sam Bowman would check on me every day. Drew Fenton always checking in. And I think that sort of, says it all about our team. Even afterwards, everyone was still there.
Perfect. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Muffy, thanks for your time. As always, it's an absolute pleasure having you on. But thank you very much for sharing and truly opening up about this uncomfortable part of last season.
No, thank you. And thank you for having me. I seriously think this is incredible. It's going to really help out a lot of young players and even players that, are at that end of their career, but everyone needs someone and just being heard and just even feeling validated. So, no, this is really cool.
Yeah, sometimes injury is not if it happens, it's when. So even if they haven't even gone through it yet, like your words today can really help somebody one day. So just thank you so much for being on it.
No, thank you for having me. And I think your story especially is incredible. So thank you, just inspiring everyone and pushing.
Stop. No. Let me get the tissues.
I won't stop.
Thanks, Mom.